moment where you can say, I can seek counseling. I can eat right. I'm in a safe place where I can allow transparency to come from me to let you be able to know what's going on inside of me so we can address the issues. And then once you address the issues, you have to start working on healing them, fixing them. What is there in your past that may have been an issue that wasn't even your fault, that caused you to have underlying issues? And if you can start putting those aside, well, it's not my fault that my father left the house. But I felt responsible when we were all hungry and I couldn't help my mother to feed us. But that wasn't on me. I was 12, I was 10, I was 11. But at the same time, you recognize the household was hungry. You recognize that poverty played a part in society with you. You notice that a lot of things caused your behavioral dysfunctions that you never were aware of at a young age that caused you to be in the position that you were in. So to make a long story short and to move on down the panel, because I know this is an open-ended question here, and everyone on the panel can feed into this. When you have the black community and a black man in an environment where he may be affected, he called it, well, I like to call it environmental post-traumatic stress disorder. That is crucial. You know, it is crucial because we don't see it as that. It's the normal daily activity that we're exposed to, the gunplay, the drug use, the womanizing, everything that comes into play is just natural behavior to us. And we don't see it as a problem until we start making decisions that are unhealthy decisions, that start causing situations in your life where you're being self-destructive. And all of your self-destruction is feeding into your family structure. You don't have to be the father figure. You can be a brother. You can be a son. And your behavior can cause dysfunction in your household. And you have younger siblings, you have older siblings that's trying to understand you when you don't even understand yourself. And so it takes an awakening. It takes time. And it takes the word medication in your healing processes. It is definitely a need for some cases, but when you ask that question, I got personal with it. There's this thing in recovery called tools. And tools are finding things that work for you to help you heal from your core issues. It's helping you to understand that when I'm having side effects of anger, rage, or if I'm dealing with depression, I'm recognizing that within. So what do I need to take a pill for? If I know why I'm having this issue, what do I need to do? I'm having a panic attack. I can breathe. I don't have to take a pill. I can take a few breaths. I can step back from a situation when it could possibly be valid. And instead of going into my anger or my rage, let me step back. Let me assess the situation. Where is my problem? Where am I at fault with this problem? Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. You calm down. You don't have to take the mood medication. Just for example of tools that you can have to get away from medications. But I'm not going to say that in a way, and I'm going to use the disclaimer. I would never tell anyone, don't take your medications. But the more tools that you get, when you find that self-awareness, when you are addressing that you have need issues, and you start dealing with that, you learn tools along the way that work for you. And those tools can help move you away from taking those medications. And that's a healthy approach to it. And then when you have that clarity in your mind, you can start learning to sleep, you can start learning to eat, you can start learning to care, you can start accepting spiritual awakenings, because to me, there is no recovery without a higher power. And you have my higher power, I choose to call Jesus Christ, and without him, I wouldn't be where I am today.
So I have a quick question. This is for you, Dr. Baruch. I hear a lot about mental clarity. How does that work interchangeably with how we eat? That's a short question.
Short question. I want to get into that. I'm going to give you the short answer.
She wasn't supposed to be up here with us. Don't get her.
I know.
Well, I want to answer that question because mental clarity has to be achieved before you eat the right thing. So the thought that you need to eat the right thing to get the mental clarity is not quite accurate. You get the mental clarity. It comes, by the thought. The thought manifests before the action, and the thought manifests before, you establish this reality. But I wanted to say something that I think is really critical, especially as we're talking, and we're all referencing, our life, and we're referencing what it is that we know, and we're referencing what we believe to be, right? I think one thing that is important for us to conclude is that we have an enemy. And if we don't accept, in 2016, with the number of us incarcerated, the number of us, the negatives are just I call it the obsessive compulsive addiction to negative outcomes. That's what we have. We have this obsessive compulsive addiction to negative outcomes. And if you look across the board, every single area where we are, we have these negative outcomes, and we tend to champion them. And on Monday morning, we high-five one another for the negative things that we did and the negative outcomes we've had, and that makes us, bigger and better, and more thorough, and more liked, and all these crazy things. So I think one of the things we have to conclude is that we do have an enemy, and our enemy is diligent at work. And if we're not ready to accept that our enemy is diligent at work, and he's at work in every single sector, every single aspect of our existence, be it the food, be it education, be it the judicial system, be it the entertainment system, be it the spiritual system, all these systems, our enemy is at work. And if we at any moment think that what we're doing is not being used against us, if we think at any moment that it's not being used against us, as men that look like the four of us do in the front of the room, other men don't have to wake up in the morning with the thoughts that we wake up with. We don't have to deal with the fact that somebody wakes up every morning or deals with in their life creating systems that would keep us from ever getting to levels of accomplishment, levels of community, levels of success, levels of love, levels of relationship, all of these things, there's systems that people that are in place that are working to see to it that we don't ever achieve that, and we have to be careful that we don't go to those same systems and those same people for solutions to the problems that they gave us in the first place, expecting that we're going to get a viable solution to the problem that seemingly is plaguing our community, that is getting worse and worse and worse and worse, yet and still we go to the same institution for the solution to a problem that was given to us by this so-called institution.
Right.
So we have to be real careful as we lean on, we lean on what we've been educated, we lean on what we believe, right? We have to be careful that what we believe and what we're leaning on isn't in fact the very institution that's causing us to be oppressed and suppressed and compelling us in a space of being just totally insignificant. We are insignificant when you think about what's going on in the world. So, there's a lot that has to be discussed. And I don't know that this panel, is even wanting to discuss the things that I want to bring up. But I think that...
Let's go there.
Let's go there.
Let's go there.
But we have to accept and respect the fact that if we have an enemy, he wants us cut off. And if we look at the things that are being put in place to cut us off, you don't have to look far. You don't have to look far. You just look at what's happening within these institutions that we are obligated to participate and engage. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. And then you look at the ones that we're not obligated to engage, but the ones that we should want to engage, like relationships. Why did I grow up in the 60s and everybody had a mom and dad in the house, and now in in the 70s and the 80s, all of a sudden I saw a departure. Where's your dad? Your dad ain't home neither? What in the world is happening? That didn't happen just because daddy got, frisky. That didn't happen. Something happened and we missed it. We didn't have diabetes in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s. We got diabetes in the 70s and the 80s. Something happened and somebody caused it to happen. Mental illness in the United States of America, if you look up the number of psychiatrists and psychologists that were alive and working and had business back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and 50s, it can't compare to what they have today. And everybody got work. So there's a whole lot of folks showing up at the offices. Something is wrong. And we don't deal with the fact that something at a very, I would say, low level, at a very low level, is wrong and perpetuating this wrong cycle as we seek to engage a solution from that system, we're never going to get it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's not coming that way. And if we don't get out of the box and start looking for a solution outside the box, and that means wherever you are right now, it ain't there. We have to look outside the box, outside of what we're comfortable with. And we also have to recognize that our enemy is clever enough that he has caused our solution to be repulsive to us. We hate our solution. We can't stand healthy food. That's nasty.
Oh, Father,
It's
are you serious?
expensive. It's too far away from me. I can't drive. I can walk over here and I can get this. Something is wrong, and if we keep looking at the surface and don't deal with the underlying, then we're going to continue to miss it, and we're going to ruin an opportunity to change and impact a generation that's coming after us, that is expecting us to have this right, but they're not going to know, because they're not going to know anything but the box that they're in. And when you grow up inside of a slavery box, you don't know what freedom looks like, so you think this is what's up. I don't know that I answered your question, but I just had to say.
You opened up where I want to go. Because what's happening is, this is why our families are not succeeding, right? Because everybody's connecting with people. We all have issues. Nobody knows what's going on. But you said the key thing. Nobody wants to get to the real issue of what's going on. And I believe that systematically, we are all screwed up. And nobody is willing to talk about it. These are the real discussions that I'm talking about having. Because what's happening is, we're covering it up with religion. We're covering it up with our accomplishments. We're covering it up with our degrees. None of that means anything at the end of the day. That's why you have pastors committing suicide. That's why you have PhDs ending up in a mental institution themselves. It's not working. So this is what I'm trying to bring out. This is the only place we're going to get to a place of wholeness and health, so that we can start producing healthy families, so that our community can be healthy. Because the government, that system has already been designed to destroy us. And because we don't understand that, we don't see that, we feed right into it, along with other systems. There are many systems that are designed to keep us enslaved. And so that's what we see. Now, somebody had a question out here. Who was it? Okay. You want to come on up to the front? We want to make sure you get in the camera, so come on up. Don't lose y'all thoughts, because he opened up something. Thank you.
Great.
Well, I've been coming in for a couple months now. Well, I've been coming in for a couple months now, and I attend Spirit of Faith Christian Center, and I've been telling everybody about everlasting life and how it changed my life. And I actually heard somebody say that they folks were on dialysis, and they changed their diet, started eating everlasting life, and overcame cancer. You know, so basically, you know, in my community, they eat McDonald's, get your McPick 2, and, you know, I've been trying to, you know, get everybody hip. My mom, she's actually been battling with colon cancer. So I actually told her to start eating it, and she's been getting better, you know, since she's been here. So, you know, it's been a life-changing, you know, event for me, as well as, you know, my family and my community. So I just appreciate, you know, what y'all trying to do, you know, keep up a good job, keep doing what y'all doing. You know, y'all strong, full black men, and just keep doing y'all thing, you know. That's all I got.
First of all, Doc, I appreciate you pulling sheets off the bed.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we line with a lot of bed bugs, and we didn't arrive with the bed bugs. And we do have a lot of systems, whether systematic or whether self-imposed, that are in place that I think assist in keeping us oppressed. And I do believe in the fact that there is a matrix that is feeding from our energy and reducing us to a place of moral, spiritual, emotional, physical insignificance. However, I do believe that we have the power from within to rise above the conditions that are set before us. Throughout the course of history in the human condition, great communities, great empires, they've always had these systems, but there's always been the clarion call of a few that have been able to galvanize the many to come and rise above. What has happened, I think, that is causing us a struggle in that area is that we have been disconnected and isolated in our communities. Where we used to grow up and you came on the block and you was cutting up, the neighbor 5 doors down knew your grandmother, your mother, your uncles, and were able to be a voice of reason and discipline. You couldn't walk with your pants sagging and bagging. Now you might have had some behavioral problems, but they could snatch you up, put you in check, send you home, call your parents or your grandparents, who would then further address that issue and cut it off. Now we have systems that don't allow us to discipline our children accordingly, or our children are left alone to make decisions on their own. However, the question is, how do we recover from this? We know what it is. We see what it is. I think it begins, first and foremost, we got a holistic, organic, vegan restaurant in our community that your spot should be filled up every night. You shouldn't have enough food, or you shouldn't be throwing away food for folk to eat. We have to re-educate ourselves, and somewhere we got to get back to the basics of it all. What does the church play in all of this? Where's the church in all of this? The church has in some cases lost its prophetic voice. And people think of prophecy as forecasting and foretelling future success of homes, cars, and millions of dollars. The prophet in the Old Testament was raised up as a voice of the Lord to address systems that were oppressing the people of God. And he called them out, not to say that, hey, you better just stop. No, he said, if you don't stop it, here is what the outcome is going to be. Not just for the oppressed, but the oppressor will suffer too. And so we have to get back to that movement in the church of hearing the prophetic voice, because what's happened is that pop culture is influencing that which has been set aside as being holy. The line has been grayed there. There's no line of demarcation. We've lost respect in some cases for those things which we consider to be spiritual and holy. And we got to get back, I think, to the basics there. Having a conversation with God and not being ashamed of it. I think also the system in this era of anti-intellectualism, where it is cool to be dumb. So much so it's impacting the 2016 presidential election. We got a
straight up dumb.
Thank you. Big dummy who is not informed about anything that if he is in office is going to impact the structure and the fiber of how we can move forward in this country as a community. And so we got to understand, like you said, thinking outside the box is also understanding that there is a system and then how to navigate the system. We got to stop relegating our voices to the back of the bus when we work hard to get to the front of the bus and stand up and participate. It's a shame that 13% of African Americans in Prince George's County only showed up to vote on one of the voting cycles. Everybody has to get out and vote, and then collectively we have to make a decision who is going to represent us and the causes in our community, and we'll put them there. And if they buy into the structure and sell out, then we got to get them out. We have to get them out. But we have to begin having forums and discussions right here, whether it's 2 people in the room or 1,500. These conversations and this exchange has to happen, and it has to become viral. It has to ignite something at a grassroots level, and that's what's been happening. We've been having folk putting cold water on some of our grassroots movement to re-engage our communities. And so let me pass it down.